Hi, I'm Mark REULE, a lead worker with the Harvey Maintenance Yard out of District 1. With resources at our yard, I set up a lane closure truck that is outfitted with a sign and sign stand carrier as well as a traffic cone carrier that I built and installed in our yard out of scrap steel. I fabricated these with a plasma cutter, torches, and our welder all in-house. I mounted the sign and sign stand carrier to the side as well as a traffic cone holder to the bumper of a 3-ton crew cab that pulls a trailer-mounted attenuator. The sign holder is capable of holding up to 8 signs and 8 sign stands, and the traffic cone holder is capable of carrying up to 25 cones. The sign carrier was made with hooks to wrap around the top of the dump body and was bolted to a dump rail along the body to ensure it stays in position if the need arises to dump a load of material or debris from the truck. This ensures that at all times our yard has a lane closure truck readily available for emergencies, regular day-to-day job activities, as well as the capability to back up other crews in our district, such as District Bridge and maybe the Core crew. The reason we built this setup was to save on the wear and tear of our signs, stands, and signs, as well as to prevent possible injury to employees and keep a truck dump open for debris as much as possible. We eliminated the potential of damage to signs and sign stands now that they don't have to be thrown into the back of the bed. This also eliminates the potential for injury to employees that do not have to climb in and out of the dump bed to remove signs, stands, and cones. It is very easily accessible for one person to take off the equipment needed and set up a lane closure, saving much time and eliminating that damage to our resources or injury to our employees. For no cost at all, I built and set up this innovative idea with material I already had in our yard. We are looking into ways for other yards that have reached out to us that would like the same setup made for them. And we're thinking that we can do that for as little as $200 for material and possibly having them built and mounted by an outside vendor for under $500.
My partner is RODNEY Harrington. We're from District 2, Rock Falls Yard. And our innovative idea is stiffeners for your snow deflector. Oftentimes when plowing, snow comes over the deflector onto the windshield, freezing up your wipers and restricting your field of vision. This causes the driver to have to leave the vehicle and clear the obstacle, which puts him or herself in harm's way. It also clogs up your air filters with snow, costing state money and time. These stiffeners help the snow roll to the end of the plow where it's intended to go, reducing this risk. We fabricated them out of steel. We mount them to the existing deflector holder. In most cases, we've used the same hardware, but you may have to increase the length of the bolt. Thank you for your time.
Hi, my name's Dan MANRING. I'm a highway maintainer at the Belvedere Garage. We had a problem with the cable on this message board. It was hanging up by a bungee strap up top here, and in the middle of the night, if they move these things around, sometimes it would drop down and get drugged down the highway, and then we'd have to replace it. So I came up with a solution with this bungee on a spring where it locates it back to the same spot continuously without dragging on the ground. So I guess the next thing that we can do is show you the operation of it. Powered up, and even if you had the board down low, you can still move it to the side. And it can actually hit it, and it just bends because there's a spring located inside it. Powering up and down, it comes back and relocates in the same spot each time. You never have to worry about this problem happening again, which is going to save the state quite a bit of money.
Hi, I'm Mitch McCoy from Princeton Maintenance Yard. This is my 2019 innovative idea. Here at Princeton, we came up with an innovative idea that would help us with lifting these heavy bottom trays each snowstorm. Sometimes during a snowstorm, you might have to lift this bottom tray and clean it out 3 to 4 times, and it becomes quite heavy. Due to the problem that we have dual spinners, which adds more weight, and we have the material of the salt that stays on the spinners, and also the frozen material that goes onto the bottom of the motors. The problem with the current design of the way the auger is set up right now is all your weight hangs from it, and you have to come down here at this handle here, which puts pressure on your wrist, and it's also very hard on your shoulder when you're lifting, and also on your back as you have to lift this up with all that weight. And this could make work-related injuries very common. So the way that we were going to correct this current design is we fabricated this little thing that can just go right onto the existing safety hose. There's a bracket here with 2 carriage bolts that stick out. And what we did is we took some stainless steel, we welded a 1-inch tube to it, and we drilled a couple holes that we could fasten to the existing bolts. Then you could take our 30-inch rod, put it in, and help use leverage to lift instead of your muscles and back.
Hello, my name's Kirk Taylor. I'm a highway maintainer in District 4 out of the El Paso Operations Yard. I've worked here for 5 years. Before that, I was a Marine for 25 years. My idea was for a wing caution light, and the reason I came up with this idea was visibility issues, long shift, whatever it is, you might forget your wings down. And I personally had a close call. So I wanted to know if there's some way to put a warning inside the cab similar to what we have with when the bed's raised. So I came up with this idea of a switch on the wing that would put a light on in the cab to let you know, hey, your wing is away from the truck, whether it's all the way down or not. You could even be driving along and your wing just starts sagging and you don't realize it. So I came up with the idea for this wing caution light. Okay, here's the contact switch that we put on this wing. And then as the wing comes away from the truck, the light in the cab will come on. Okay, here in the cab, there's the light that comes on when the wing leaves the side of the truck. Good. Okay, the wing is now going to come down. There's the light. And then now I'm going to bring the wing back up. And then the light's off. Thank you for considering our idea here from El Paso. On a side note, I would like to also say that we did try this with a magnetic switch as well. So we have two prototypes. We've got the contact switch and the magnetic switch. So far, the contact switch seems to be the better of the two.
This is Paul Day, lead worker for the District 5 Bridge Crew operations. What we have here is our jackhammering dust suppression system running off a 25-gallon tank. We've got the power coming off our batteries. It runs the on-demand pump. The on-demand pump pumps it to this manifold. The manifold has a valve on each hose. Each hose is tied to the air hose coming off the reels, which is coupled every 50 foot, running off to the jackhammers, which each jackhammer is equipped with a hose with the coupler and an adjustable spraying tip. As you can see, the spraying tip works well, keeps the patch nice and wet, which in return helps the dust, and not only that, it makes the cleanup easier. And it's nice not going home with the dust on you and on all of your equipment. There's the tip spraying.
Hello, my name is Caleb Prosser. I'm a highway maintainer with TUSCOLA out of District 5. What we've got here is our Kubota skid steer and our bump milling attachment. Our bump milling attachment came to us in kind of a design that would not work for our application. We decided to modify with these legs here to separate our wheels so that you can climb the bump parallel to the flow of traffic. Unfortunately, when the wheels were up here, we could not get a even milled, a smooth finish on our bump milling operation. By straddling, the wheels are actually on either side of the bump instead of climbing the bump the entire time. We also had an issue with how this was originally designed. It had hydraulic cylinders here. These cylinders were to individually adjust the left and right side. What was happening was the hydraulic cylinders were bleeding off, and every bump we would approach would be our drum, our actual cutting edge under here would be crooked. So we were actually digging holes in the asphalt. So what we did was we added this turnbuckle here and locked it into place with the locking nut. That way there is no way to mess it up. There's no adjustment necessary. Once you make that initial adjustment, every time it's planing to this perfect depth, and this overall makes our operation safer. We do not have to go against traffic in any way. We can adjust this planing head left or right so that we don't have to have our machine sticking out over the center line, for instance. It seems to work out well for us, and we hope you enjoy it.
Hi, my name is Kevin ROODHOUSE. I'm a highway maintainer in District 6 at Springfield West. My innovative idea is a 3-inch disc with red on one side and yellow on the other. The reason I came up with this idea is because our yard and surrounding yards use 2 different chemicals in our pre-wet tanks. The 2 chemicals we use are brine and calcium. Depending on the temperature outside determines which one we use. We use brine for warmer temperatures and calcium for colder temperatures. The problem with this is if you mix the 2, it will create a gel in the bottom of our tanks. This gel will plug your pump and screens in our trucks. If this happens, the truck will not be able to spray pre-wet with the salt. Then you have a loss of product and manpower cleaning out the tanks. So you ask, how does this happen? Brine and calcium are both clear and odorless, so you can't tell what is in your truck by sight or smell, so they can be easily mixed up. We might start out in a snowstorm using brine, and as the storm progresses, it might get colder outside, forcing us to switch the trucks over to calcium, which is no big deal. The problem with this is we usually run 2 shifts, and if there is no communications between the 2 shifts, then there could be a mess when the next shift has to reload the truck. The next problem is we don't pump our trucks out at the end of the storm, and it might be a while before we use them again. This becomes a problem because we don't always switch all the trucks, and people forget which ones have what in them at the next snowstorm. So that's why I came up with this idea that is easily attached to our field caps. Yellow is for brine and red is for calcium. We also place these discs on the sign on a post at the tanks, reminding people what color is for which product.
Jason Obert, Team Section 613, Mount Sterling, Rushville, District 6. This is our innovative idea we came up with. Our rock box, before, this is how we would have to open our gate. When we get out there on the road to where we're going to put shoulder rock down, we'd have to manually dismount the truck, get out, go into traffic, watch for your traffic, go around. You would have to open, set your gate manually, go back in the truck, and then go spread your rock. It seemed there's a lot of necessary why to have to go in and out of traffic. Surely there was a way we could do something safety-wise to keep us out of traffic to operate this gate from the cab. So, I'll show you what we came up with. So we were able to find, we just had a used cylinder that we were able to use, welded some braces on it, tied in our hydraulic system with our plow left and right. So it's all tied in, teed off. You can do this all from the cab without the necessary of having to get out in traffic and just keeping our guys safe. So let's show you. Plow left and right, up and down, closes your gate. Eliminates the need for having to get out in traffic. Shut it, no trails to dribble, no piles left behind when you shut your rock off. Just a lot safer, a lot simpler. So that was our innovative idea. Again, 613 Team Section. Thank you.
I'm Kyle AUKAMP with District 7, Yard 712 out of Vandalia. One of our innovative ideas has to deal with hydraulic couplers. All the state trucks have these, primarily for auger box spinners and plow applications. There's a lot of other equipment such as the backhoe, loader, so on and so forth that have them too. And this is the female, this is the male. These cost about 10 bucks a piece. These are about $4.20 a piece. Doesn't seem like a lot of money. But when you figure that all the new trucks have at least 3 of each style on them, and that in District 7 alone we have around 160 trucks, so at 6 per truck, there's about $7,000 worth of these in District 7 alone. And the problem is, when you're not got a hydraulic hose hooked up to them, they collect a lot of dirt and debris in the summer, from hauling dirt from ditching to hauling rock, and it all gets in there and it jams up the bearings inside so they don't latch. This is one that I took off a truck and kind of cleaned up for this video, but it won't even, the swivel doesn't move on it anymore, and it won't even come back, so you could put a fitting in it. You start going through those, especially around the time that we're going to do our truck inspection for winter, and you're replacing them, and it adds up. So what we came up with to eliminate that is shrink tubing. And you can buy this stuff from, we get it from Terminal Supply. It comes in a 5-foot stick, or you can even get it in a roll. There's two different types of shrink tubing. You want to make sure you get the one that has no adhesive inside. Some of them have a glue on the inside, and once you shrink them, it is stuck to whatever it's shrunk to. So you want the no adhesive because you want to be able to cut these off. And then for the open end of it, or on the males, that end, you can use something as simple as a Gatorade bottle cap. It goes on the top, shrink tubing slides over your coupler, and you're done. Let it cool off a little bit, trim your excess with a pair of scissors or a pocket knife, and voila. Whenever you need to use this coupler, you simply cut the shrink tubing off and it's ready to go. No dirt, no debris, no water. Stays nice and clean on the inside, and then it's functional and easy to hook up. You're not fighting them all the time, not replacing them, not spending money. And same thing with the males. It just takes a smaller piece of shrink tubing, and then you can use smaller cap. This one's off a water bottle. Like I said, Gatorade, water bottles. You can go get PVC caps if you want to, but sometimes you don't want to be making trips to get PVC caps, and if other people cut them off, they might just throw them away. This, it really doesn't matter if they get thrown away, because they're just going to be laying around. They're probably just going to be trash anyway. There you go. It's capped, it's sealed, nothing going to get in there. Thank you. I'm Kyle AUKAMP, District 7, Yard 712 out of Vandalia, and this was one of our innovative ideas to cover this cylinder with a plate, especially for running a forestry head, so you didn't get sticks in here and rip these hoses off. First time we ran our forestry head, it broke both these lines and almost broke this fitting off the cylinder, which we would have then had to replace the cylinder. These lines are Kubota specific, so they come from over in Europe, and they're rather expensive. So to eliminate this, we built this guard out of 1/4 inch plate, and it simply sets over the cylinder like this. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts. It's mounted and your cylinder is protected from any brush when you're backing up over your fresh grinds or anything like that. All the locking mechanisms can still clear the plate, and you can actually leave this on all the time and it doesn't get in the way of anything, and it keeps all your lines and fittings protected.
My name is Steve ULREY. I'm the highway maintenance lead worker at the Robinson Maintenance Yard in Crawford County, District 7. If you've worked at IDOT for any length of time, you've probably seen these trucks running around with a spreader light hanging by the wires. The problem with these lights, where they're mounted from the factory, they're in a bad location. You dump large items out of the bed, it's usually going to tear the light off. These lights are in a sealed rubber housing that's not really sealed, because they get full of water, they corrode the terminals, and then the light doesn't work. Guys trying to spread salt at night, can't see what their spinner's doing. These lights are junk. We got rid of those lights. We bought some LED lights for $35 a piece, and we changed the location of where these lights are mounted. They're now mounted up underneath the bed. They're not exposed to getting damaged by something coming out of the truck. You just bolt them to an existing bolt on the mud flap bracket, hook the wires up, and you're in business. These lights have saved us probably 30 minutes per shift on snow removal, where we don't have to change bulbs anymore. We don't have any failures with these. We've had these a year and a half now. I've documented over 30,000 miles and 1,100 hours of run time. Not a single failure. We're real happy with these lights. We don't have to change them anymore. And they put out more light than the old sealed beam bulbs do.
I'm Jim Denton, District 7 Sign Shop. Our innovative idea this year is a portable work light that we've used. Everything that we have on here is readily available from the district except for the plug that we've added onto it. This is simply a spreader light we use on the back of the plow truck, trailer wiring, a pair of vice grips, and this is a plug that goes into the power port. The nice thing about this is the versatility. We can change these lights to LED if we need brighter lights. On the vice grips themselves, we can add a simple L bracket if need be, where you can then use the light left and right as well as up and down. Ours is welded directly to the vice grips because we're using ours while we're traveling, and we don't want the vibration to be able to loosen up the nut where it will turn. The wiring, you can make to any whatever length that you need to. As far as the plug, we put these plugs on because in the back of the striper there's power ports, 2 power ports that we use on each side. But depending on your application, you can put a plug in that goes on the back of for the trailer hookups on the back of the truck, 2 clips so you can put them on the battery post if need be. There's just a lot of options that you can use with this light set.
Keep going. Go.
Hey, David.
My name is Matt Blakey, District 9, Marion Yard. In order to be able to tell how much brine we had in our tanks, we came up with a system, a float gauge system. It's made out of 2-inch Schedule 40 clear PVC, as well as a float inside that consists of the packing material that our auger bearings come in. We painted that float orange to be able to see it, and then as the level in the brine tank rises, so does the float, therefore showing us how much brine is in the tank. It's a simple construction with piping coming out of the bottom bung of the tank and rising to the top. It's held on with PVC glue, simple materials that you find in a hardware store, and marine grade adhesive to adhere the pipe to the side of the tank with hose clamps, and it's